Hello again. White to checkmate in 3 moves. Some little while ago I put a video on YouTube concerning the Thomas Freer problem competition in New York in 1859. And that was a mate in 3, and I wondered if they were all mates in 3. Well, I've done some further investigating and I've discovered that there were in fact mates in 3, 4 and 5 moves respectively. Now this mate in 3 won the first prize, and when you eventually go through it, I'm quite sure that you'll agree it's a pretty good one. Also, it answered the question as to whether Paul Morphy could possibly have been present at this. Well, the answer is the most emphatic no, because the problem tournament was completed and the details were all published in January 1859, which will be smack in the middle of Morphy's European tour, so that rules him out there. But it was an excellent problem tourney, and this is a first-class example of the sort of quality that you have in that tournament. Now, like I say, it's a mate in 3. There are at least 11, but it might be 12 replies. I'm just going to give one reply once we find the key move. How do we go about finding the key move in this position? Just take a broader look at it. What would we like to be able to do here? Well, if you just go down here for a moment, if you remove this pawn, checkmate. Absolutely checkmate. If you remove this queen, checkmate again. So, with that in mind, we would like to utilize that knight in one way or the other. The problem is at the moment, this bishop, it could swoop down and take the pawn. The only problem is we wouldn't have a chance to play knight b6 because it would be queen takes a7 and it would snuff out knight b6 or knight c7. So that just doesn't work. However, in these sorts of positions, it's often useful if you don't succeed by advancing a piece to a certain square, stop one square short of it. In other words, do that. Now this took me about a minute to find because I did look at bishop a7 first, and then I thought I'll try bishop b6. Sure, it's an absolute fluke that I found it as quickly as I did, but that is the key move. And what is the threat there? There's no tutzwang because there is a direct threat. Can you see what it is? Right, well the threat quite simply is rook d4 mate. Now, you may say, well, how come you couldn't play rook d4 mate on the first move? Well, the answer to that lies in the fact that the bishop now is on the opposite side of the rook. Before it was down here, you recall, and he would have had a flight square. Now, of course, he has no such flight square. So what black has to organize himself into thinking now is we need to defend against rook d4. So of all the 11 or 12 replies, I'm just going to give one, and I'll let you have a look at the others. Any problems, just let me know and I'll be happy to supply the answers to you on the comments box. The reply that I'm giving is this. What is the idea here? Well, the idea here is that if white plays rook d4, the king has a flight square. So rook d4 doesn't work. So how do we answer bishop f5? Just have a look at that. How do we answer it? Well, this move took me somewhat longer to find. It's not obvious, but it's with the rook. What I was saying about the bishop stopped one square short, well, this time we go one square further. It's rook e4. Now, that looks utterly ridiculous. And that's why I tried it. I thought it looks so ridiculous, it must be the answer. And it is the answer. Yeah, what are we threatening here? Well, we're threatening queen c4 checkmate. The rook has nicely moved away from c4, allowing the queen to drop into it. Now, of course, he can play his queen here to stop that on the move. So what do we do there? Well, if you notice, in moving the queen to c7, he has relinquished his protection of f5. And if you take a look at that, that is checkmate. The rook on e4 nicely covered. So that just doesn't work. So, what does he do here? Well, the two lines that I'm going to give, we whip the rook off. I think that's pretty obvious to stop queen c4. So we'll take it with the bishop. How does that work out? Well, if you think just a moment ago, we took the bishop on f5. Now what we do is we take the queen. The queen has no protection, and that is checkmate. The white queen nicely covering this side. That is really a fantastic way of dealing with that one. So back we go. And this is the position after bishop b6, our key move. Bishop f5, rook e4. We've tried bishop takes e4. We earlier tried queen c7 and discovered it didn't work. What about king takes e4? He's heading with his king to f3 if he can manage to do it. Now there's a clue there. Well, he can't, because you have a choice of that, checkmate, or that, checkmate. Just take a look at that. And that is absolutely game over in this problem. That is a really neat problem. I trust you enjoyed it, and maybe one of these days I'll bring one or two more. But for the moment, enjoy your chess, and goodbye to you.